Aloha friends, I'm Diana Johnson from Eating Richly, and today I'll be showing you how to make a delicious and creamy pumpkin oatmeal. It's like having pumpkin pie for breakfast, except it's good for you. Before we get started, I would love it if you could give this video a thumbs up if you like having recipe content, and then let me know in the comments what kind of recipe videos you prefer. Maybe it's healthy comfort food, or easy breakfasts, or family-friendly dinners. I really love connecting with you. So let's get cooking, because cooking time is connecting time. For the recipe, I'm going to show you how to make pumpkin oatmeal on the stove because I love toasting my oats a little bit before making the oatmeal. Toasting the oats gives them this sweet, nutty flavor that tastes amazing, and it also lets you use less sweetener in the oatmeal itself. Plus, with toasted oats, you get a slightly chewier texture to your oatmeal, which I really like. That said, you can totally make this pumpkin oatmeal in the microwave if you're in a hurry and don't want to keep an eye on the stove. Just mix everything together in a large bowl and microwave for about 10 to 15 minutes. It will be slightly different, but still delicious. Also, this pumpkin oatmeal just happens to be vegan because half of our family is dairy-free, and I like the flavor of maple syrup with pumpkin better than honey. So vegans, you're welcome. The coconut flavor from the coconut milk really complements the pumpkin, but you can use butter or dairy milk or a different milk alternative if you can't do coconut. To toast our oats, you're going to melt a tablespoon of coconut oil in a large saucepan on medium-high heat. You can use expeller pressed coconut oil that has no coconut flavor, or a coconut oil that actually tastes like coconut. Once the coconut oil is melted, add in 1.5 cups of old-fashioned oats and stir to coat in the oil. Old-fashioned oats can also be called rolled oats or whole oats. They're made by steaming the whole oat to make it soft and then pressing it flat into a disc shape. We like old-fashioned oats because they're the middle ground between instant oats, which often become mushy, and steel-cut oats, which take a lot longer to cook. Really, the biggest difference between the three types of oats is cooking time and texture. They all have the same nutritional value. So use whichever one you prefer, just know that you'll need to shorten or increase the cooking time. Continue toasting the oats by stirring a few times until the oats smell nutty and are slightly golden. Next, you're going to add in a can of coconut milk, which is a little less than 2 cups. Now, I like to use canned coconut milk because it is thicker and it's creamier than the coconut milk used for drinking. Stir your oats into the coconut milk and let it all simmer for a couple of minutes. Then you're going to add a cup of pumpkin puree. You can use homemade pumpkin puree from fresh pumpkins if they're in season. I usually just use canned pumpkin puree because it's always available. Just make sure you're using plain pumpkin puree, not the pumpkin pie filling, which is full of sugar. Instead of sugar, we're going with whole ingredients and using flavorful maple syrup. And this is real maple syrup, not pancake syrup. I recommend starting with less maple syrup, maybe 2 tablespoons, and then you can add more as needed. I go up to, at the most, a 1/4 cup of maple syrup when I make this for my kids. Next, you'll add 1.5 to 2 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice. Again, I suggest starting with less and increasing to taste. Now, I don't actually buy pumpkin pie spice because I've already got all the spices to make it. So if you want to make your own, it's really easy. Get a small jar with an airtight lid and add 4 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, 2 teaspoons of ground nutmeg, 2 teaspoons of ground ginger, 1 teaspoon of ground allspice, and 1 teaspoon of ground cloves. Now put the lid on, shake it up, and you've got pumpkin pie spice. Another nice thing about making pumpkin pie spice yourself is that you can adjust it. For instance, my sister has a ginger allergy, so she can make ginger-free pumpkin pie spice. If you'd like to print the pumpkin pie spice recipe, I'll put a link right here in the video. After the pumpkin pie spice comes a teaspoon of vanilla extract and 1/2 to 1 teaspoon of salt. Now the salt isn't to make your oatmeal taste salty. It actually brings out all the different flavors and helps them come together. I usually start with 1/2 teaspoon of salt in the big batch of pumpkin oatmeal and then add a little to individual servings as needed. Now mix the oatmeal up really well and let it cook on low for 5 to 10 minutes until it reaches the texture you like. If your pumpkin oatmeal's too thick, you can always add a little bit of water or a milk of your choice. If you want it thicker, just stir it up and let it cook a little bit longer. Once the oatmeal is cooked to your liking, it's ready to serve. Now this pumpkin oatmeal is seriously delicious as is. But if you want to feel fancy, you can have fun adding some toppings and get a breakfast that is seriously Instagram worthy. Since I cook our oatmeal pretty thick, I like to start by pouring in a little almond milk, which also helps cool it off a bit if it's fresh from the stove. If you like your oatmeal sweeter, you can add a drizzle of maple syrup. I like throwing on a few walnuts or pecans because they give a nice crunch and add some healthy fats. Then a little sprinkle of coconut flakes to bring out the flavor of the coconut milk. I always add some heart-healthy chia seeds to my oatmeal. And finally, I will put in a few small dollops of pureed pumpkin to get some of that straight-up pumpkin flavor. Now that looks fancy, but I like to get ultra fancy. If they're in season, I love to throw on a handful of pomegranate seeds. The color is absolutely stunning, and the bursts of tart juice are an amazing contrast to the sweet pumpkin oatmeal. We're actually working on a video right now on how to preserve pomegranates, so make sure to subscribe and click the bell so that you'll get notified once it's up. So there you have it. Beautiful, creamy, dairy-free, vegan pumpkin oatmeal. When you give this a try, I'd love to hear what you think. Also, let me know if you change anything. The great thing about recipes is they're just guidelines, and I love to hear how you make them your own. All right, I've got my coffee and my amazing pumpkin oatmeal, and I'm gonna gobble this down before the baby wakes up. But don't worry, friends, I will see you in the next video. Who's that baby?